Welcome to the United Constitutional Patriots Radio Show with your host, Johnny. Today we'll be talking about the New Mexico border and issues within our country. We have a special guest that Johnny will introduce. So I will now turn the mic over to Johnny. So here's Johnny.
Thank you, Pete. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the United Constitutional Patriots Radio Show for our Friday night show. I want to welcome all of our listeners, and we got a very special guest tonight, folks. A man that I admire. He's been a police officer for 20-some years, and he is 100% constitutionalist, and he is our special guest. Shane Ferrari, he is our county sheriff for San Juan County, and he supports what the United Constitutional Patriots stand for and what we do to help our country and our patriots, and as well as when people are in trouble, we go out, we help them, including hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever. As everybody knows, we're the first boots on the ground to help. We are registered and licensed as a humanitarian group in the state of New Mexico and with the federal government. So with that, I want to introduce Shane. Now, he's going to allow time. If anybody has any questions during the show, type them in, and he will answer the questions. But he's going to basically fill you in on what the sheriff's departments are allowed to do in New Mexico, what they are doing right now to protect the constitutional rights of the Second Amendment. And with that, Shane, I want to welcome you, sir. It's a blessing and an honor to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully I can answer some of those questions that people may be a little bit curious about what's going on in New Mexico right now. Essentially, what's going on is as sheriff of San Juan County, I'm also a member of the New Mexico Sheriff's Association. New Mexico has 33 counties, all that are represented by sheriffs, and I also sit on the board for the New Mexico Sheriff's Association. Well, every year, New Mexico does not have a full-time legislation. So what that means is our House and our Senate are comprised of usually business owners, attorneys, doctors, individuals that are giving up their time anywhere from 60 days to 30 days per year to go to Santa Fe and implement the laws and also the financial decisions for our state every year. You know, these folks don't get paid. All they do is get paid their per diem. You know, so I have a lot of respect for these folks when they go down there. It's a unique time this year because we have a new governor in, and our new governor came in obviously with a priority list, and part of those priorities were what she considered common sense gun legislation. And as New Mexico sheriffs, we do keep an eye on a variety of bills, not only bills related to crime, but also to training and different things. But as we were started looking through some of these bills, specifically gun bills, which, you know, do come up every year, we noticed several bills that really caused us some pause. And really we categorized them in three different areas, either ones that we felt were, even if they were implemented, we can't enforce them. Also, there were laws that we felt that were unconstitutional, and then there were some laws that we felt were overreaching. Now, obviously, if the state passes something that is what we feel, you know, overreaching or maybe unenforceable, we still have to enforce those things. However, when it comes to bills that we feel are unconstitutional, we have to look back to what our oath of office is, which is I took an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution, the New Mexico Constitution, and the laws. But when we see a law come forward that may violate the rights of citizens or constitutional rights, it causes some pause, and we look for direction. And we are proactive. So obviously, the first thing we do is contact our local legislators. You'll find us in Santa Fe down there, contacting legislators on the floor, trying to get with whoever sponsors these bills, or maybe be the author of these bills to make we better educate what our needs are. And that's our goal. We want to be at the table in being able to draft effective legislation for New Mexico to keep New Mexicans safe and keep their rights safe. That's what we want to do. Well, we had a few bills. I think there's 12 gun bills that are going through right now. And there were some issues with them, you know, and I've mentioned the registration law that they want to have passed in New Mexico. So currently in New Mexico, If you buy a new gun or a gun from a business, you have to undergo the background check, the federal background check. What New Mexico wants to do is now do background checks on private gun sales. So, and there's some exemptions in there for law enforcement and FFL to FFL. However, and there's some exceptions in there as far as family members. However, if I wanted to sell to my next door neighbor, we have to go find an FFL, pay him $35, and have this check done. Doesn't sound bad on the surface, but as you start reading into this bill, we found out that even black powder guns were part of this. And as we were watching the legislation go through, number one, it's unenforceable. I don't know if two people sell a gun to each other. There's no way for me to know that. There's no way for me to vet that. The person could easily say, no, I've had this gun forever, or no, I broke my Fifth Amendment right. Don't want to tell you where I got the gun. It's just my gun. That's all I'm telling you. So it's unenforceable. But remember, the goal is to keep guns out of the hands of bad guys. The bad guys don't buy guns and register them. Bad guys steal guns. So it's really just a worthless law. You know, there's a study that came out of California. Actually, the person that did it was anti-gun, and he did the study on Colorado's gun registration and found it did nothing to curb violence. So it's just an unenforceable law, which really the only people that are going to follow it are law-abiding citizens. We've got more laws pertaining to law-abiding citizens, where now they've got to pay $35 to do this. And that's frustrating. But what was more frustrating was watch this bill going through the House, the committees, and all the way up to the Senate floor, to the point where, I mean, there were some valid questions being asked, and the folks that were in charge there of the Senate, and, you know, I don't want to make this a partisan issue here, but they flat out don't listen to the minority party, and just, you know, which are some of my representatives, they're bringing up some valid points, but when they mentioned that they covered black powder, not only federal firearms regulations do that when it comes to purchasing a gun, the author of the bill, Senator Martinez, said, well, I don't know the difference between a black powder and a cartridge rifle. And you're looking at him going, but this is a bill that you submitted. You should be very, very versed in what this law is. And we get told, well, I just took it from Colorado, word for word. Well, listen, New Mexico doesn't have, our laws are different than Colorado. Our Constitution is different than Colorado. We're New Mexico, not Colorado. And you will represent New Mexican citizens. So there's a lot of frustration, but it gave me a good picture of what the legislative process was. And if they are this lackadaisical about a law that's unenforceable, didn't even call us to the table to get our opinion on it. If they're that lackadaisical about this and put that little investment into this bill, what happens with these other bills coming up? Which two bills I'll speak on are House Bill 83 and House Bill 87. House Bill 83 covers the red flag law that you see going across the nation right now. And what it's meant to do is take the guns out of the hands of individuals who are either a threat to themselves or others. Sounds good on the surface. New Mexico already has a law that lets us do that, but they didn't do their research. We're able not only, but with that, we're not attacking the object, which is, in this case, is the firearm. We can actually take the person and take them down to the hospital, get a mental evaluation on them, and have them detained if we need to do so, and put their guns into safekeeping. But again, we're dealing with a new governor who wants to feather in her cap about red flags. So we start reading into this bill, and it covers, first of all, in New Mexico, a household member extends all the way out to your former stepmom, all the way to your grandparent-in-laws. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So essentially what this bill has two components. One component is that anybody that's considered a household member, so your grandparent-in-laws, can go down to the district court and get a court order, okay, and these are ex parte orders, and ex parte means one party. They can get an order. They can say that John has threatened to hurt himself, and John's got guns, and John's, he's an alcoholic, and all these different things. And they submit it to the judge. The judge will sign it, give it to the sheriff's office. Now, I come over your house, and I seize all of your guns and ammunition. And you're informed that within 10 days, you're going to have a hearing before the judge where you're going to have to defend yourself, that you're not a threat to yourself or others. And you probably want to bring some legal counsel. So now racking up some legal bills, right? And so there's that component. The other component is where law enforcement can do this. But this law totally sidesteps our 14th Amendment, and not to mention our Second Amendment. And I guess you can throw your Fourth Amendment in there, too. So we as sheriffs, seeing this, we've been mentioning this, and they wouldn't call us to the table. They wouldn't talk to us. They wouldn't listen to us. So, we've got an issue with that one. So then House Bill 87 came up. 87 had to do with expanding prohibited persons from owning firearms. And already federally, felons can't own firearms. What they wanted to do now is expand that. So in New Mexico, they wanted to expand it to domestic violence crimes, which are misdemeanors, to include criminal damage to property. So if a young man goes out and keys his girlfriend's car and is found guilty, then he loses his firearms privileges for life. I think that's a little overreaching and unconstitutional. So we as sheriffs, we realize whatever they hand down as far as gun laws that are worthless and won't listen to us, we've got to deal with, these unenforceable laws. These overreaching laws that still may be constitutional, we still got to deal with those. But then we have these laws that are unconstitutional. But again, we wrote a letter to them. We contacted our legislators. We tried to call. They wouldn't receive our phone calls. We went to Santa Fe. We went on the floor to try to talk to them. We did this over and over and over. And it was pretty much, we weren't called to the table. We were pretty much told that, we were given 2 minutes to speak on the House floor about 4 bills. So we said, forget this. Let's go back to our counties and let's go back to the people. That's where the power is, and let's start there. So we started the Second Amendment sanctuary county movement, if you will, in New Mexico, and it's caught fire. And it's right now, I think as of today, we have 15 counties out of our 33. The Bernalillo County Sheriff would stand up, which is our largest county. If they were to do it, that would make 16. But you can look on this map that's going around, and rural New Mexico is standing up against Santa Fe. They are letting them know that rural New Mexico wants to be heard, wants to be called to the table. And probably for the first time in forever, they're listening. We're getting phone calls now that, hey, come to the table. What do you guys think about this? And, the public's tired of it. Now, cities are even jumping on board to become Second Amendment sanctuary cities. Now, people ask me ultimately what's that mean? Every public official has taken an oath to the Constitution. They have, which includes their Second Amendment. These sanctuary city resolutions, as far as their weight and them supporting the sheriff, they just say that they will support me in not enforcing any law that's unconstitutional. So where that's ultimately going to end up is with the Supreme Court. So our plan is immediately if these guns, and keep in mind these bills are still going through, they haven't been signed yet, but if they are enacted in law, then we have several attorneys and private citizens who will file suit on the state. And what it'll do is it'll clog those laws up until we get a ruling from the Supreme Court. That's where the buck stops. So if the Supreme Court turns to us and says, sheriffs, listen, I know you think this is unconstitutional, but it's not. It's constitutional. Then the buck stops there, and we have to enforce them. And we're going to have to turn to the people again and say, we've done everything we can as sheriffs. Now you need to use your voice and vote the legislation out, the judge out, whatever you need to. But we as sheriffs are going to do everything we can to stop what we think is unconstitutional. So that's where that kind of gives you, I hope, a good grasp on what's happening with this issue in New Mexico.
I appreciate that. Can you inform them also, too, because we have a lot of confusion, why the law enforcement cannot help the Patriots on the border or get involved with immigration?
Here in New Mexico, New Mexico has no immigration law whatsoever. Zero. So, as New Mexico law enforcement, we can only enforce New Mexico laws. So when you encounter law enforcement that may be on the border that you're interacting with, and the local officials, that meaning municipalities, counties, and states, and you're telling them, listen, I just saw 5 guys come across the border, we have to look at state law and determine if a law has been committed, or a crime has been committed. So if if they're not committing trespassing or something of that nature, trespassing on posted land, then we have no authority to contact those people. Even if we see them walking out of Mexico right into the U.S., we have no way of contacting those people. We can do what we call a consensual encounter, which means we go up to them, "Hi, how are you? How's your day?" And that's not going to work because they're going to run the minute we come up to them. So really, we're in the same position that citizens are. The only thing we can do is call Border Patrol and inform them that a group has been found or located, so they can encounter them, because the authority to contact those individuals is theirs.
Okay, well, I really appreciate it, Shane, because you just answered questions that actually patriot groups across the country has asked as well. Why can't the sheriff's departments help? Well, you just reached out to I don't know how many groups where they now understand. Do you have time to take a few questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay, any of the listeners have any questions while we have Shane here? Go ahead, Pete, preacher. Okay,
here.
Okay.
I'm trying to get it to go off.
Oh, okay. So, okay, but I'll tell you what, Shane, we really appreciate you coming on our show, and we hope you'll come on again and keep us updated and the public updated of what's going on.
Yeah, there's been a lot of groups that have done a fantastic job about notifying citizens and getting involved with their rights and where things are going. And I'm very proud of our citizens for really getting into I don't want to say getting into politics, but getting an interest in what's going on in Santa Fe and legislative issues. I think there's a lot of folks out there that have never been involved before that all of a sudden are waking up and realizing our state government, again, I mean, our job as an American is always to question our government. That's our job. That's what our forefathers did, and that's what we need to remember once again, that the government's job in this whole taking care of us, that's not the way it's supposed to be. I believe in less government, more power to the people. And I think that's what it is to be American. That's my view. But I think people are waking up and paying a heck of a lot more attention to what's happening now. And maybe that's time for us here in the United States to start waking up to what our leadership is doing, and it's in the best interests of us as Americans. So I do appreciate you letting me be on the show, John, and hopefully I've answered some of those questions.
Okay, sir. And I hope we can have you come back when we get updates once in a while. And
yeah, just let me know.
We will keep sending you information when we get it on certain things that we've talked about in the past. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the future. And anytime you need us, we're here for you, my friend.
Thank you, John. I do appreciate you. Have a good night.
Okay, God bless you, and God bless you and protect you.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Okay, folks, that is our sheriff of San Juan County, Shane Ferrari. Very good man, 100% constitutionalist. And he took the time out to come on so he could explain to the people of New Mexico and actually everybody what is actually going on here in the state of New Mexico and why we actually need help down on the border. He's actually going to be going down to the border in the near future with us if he can work it out where he can have eyes on. So he wants to know more about all the corruption, everything that's going on the border and this is a man that I totally trust. Like I said, he's 100% constitutionalist. He was a police officer, I believe, for 22 years before he became our sheriff. And he's for the Constitution and the Second Amendment 100%, along with a lot of the other sheriffs that are coming on board. So that's what this is all about. It's about our rights as citizens of the Second Amendment and you know, he told us in a conversation that he wishes his hands weren't tied because then he could do more. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to anybody have anything they want to further on this? Reaper, anybody? Any remarks? Okay. But now, I was happy to have Shane on, and I hope he made things easier to understand on you guys. And keep him in your prayers, and the men, the officers that are out there, because they're out there putting their life on the line, and they're running up against people that are everything from cocaine, people on cocaine, to dealers and everything else, and they put their life on the line every day for the people here in the county, as well as all other officers in their counties. So like I said, I was proud to have him on tonight. Now, I want to say something. We got some donations in again, and I want to thank you. I hope that this shows, with having our sheriff and his support, I hope it shows everybody just exactly how we stand. When you have the total backing of a sheriff's department, that means that you're doing something right. And again, I was attacked again, but this time by the Southern something. I don't know what's the name of that.
Southern Poverty Law Center.
Oh yeah, they attacked me again, and it hit me hard. But it doesn't hurt us because everybody knows that they're for the Democrats, and if you're doing something right, they're going to attack you. Well, they can attack me all I want because I'm not going to stop being fight for our Constitution and the rights of the American people and our state and our county. Now, one of the things I want to say is if we need boots on the ground really bad. We do have people on the border. We need more on the border. We need to get help from boots on the ground. If you're willing to come forward and help with what we're doing to work with Border Patrol and detain or help detain the illegals coming across, the people that are coming across from South America that are here to do harm to us, as they are, call me at 505-334-2492. Another thing that I would like to ask, if you are willing to make donations, we are asking for help with donations. You can find it on the United Constitutional Patriots page on Facebook. There's a PayPal there. If you can't afford to make a donation, your prayers. We need your prayers. The men on the border need our prayers. We do have border walls going up as we speak, ladies and gentlemen. Good news, and they are going like wildfire across the state of New Mexico. And hopefully they can get the wall up in time to stop a large portion of the caravans or the intruders, invaders, whatever you want to call them, from Central America. It's every foot makes our job easier, because up until now it's been a wide open border. There is not military on the border. We are going to stay on the border until the wall is completely up, because the people down there that are protecting us and helping us, the civilians, they're screaming for help because they are having a lot of problems with the illegals. They're stealing from them. They've killed a couple of the people down there. They killed one of our men a little over a month ago. There's a whole lot going on the border that people don't want to believe. These people are coming across with diseases, MS-13, weapons, child trafficking, bringing, kids from 13 to 18 years old for child trafficking, bringing them across and going around. Why they're doing this, the way they're getting away with it, is because we don't have enough people to cover all the points. But there'll be a group of 100, 150 come in. They come in and they come on the U.S. side and they sit down and tell Border Patrol we want medical help. While they're doing that, they're bringing others in around them. It's a diversion. And they become in such mass movement. There's so little law enforcement on the border that they're all tied up. And in the meantime, these guys are coming through with their drugs. They're coming through with these kids. And It's, out of all of it, what bothers me the most are the children, because they've been stolen from their families. If we have men on the border that are trained, veterans, law enforcement, they can make the difference by getting these people, detaining them, and holding them until the Border Patrol can get there to get them. We're not there to do a firefight, but we are trained, and we are able to defend ourselves. If we're fired on and our life is threatened, we have the right to fire back. In fact, Shane made that very clear yesterday when he talked with all of our staff for about an hour and a half. So, we need help. Now, we also need donations. If you can donate tents, clothes, flashlights, batteries, night vision, sleeping bags, this is what we need. You can send it to the United Constitutional Patriots, care of John Horton or Mark Cheney, at P.O. Box 1334, Flora Vista, New Mexico 87415. If you have questions, call me. I'm the national commander. I'm John, 505-334-2492. Like I said, if you can't make donations, your prayers. That's all it takes. In some cases, we need a little more than prayers, because we have to take care of these people on the border. We have to take care of the men that are down there. They're living in tents. They're doing their own cooking. And this money that we're asking for, the help, is for supplies, food, medical care, whatever is needed. We also are asking for volunteers to come down that have medical background that can help in case of the invasion and ends up in a shooting war. We're asking for this because it's what's needed. Now, the borders of New Mexico have been the only open borders across the United States. We have no military there. Our governor said that she pulled all of the National Guard off the border. Well, the Lion Woman there's never been anybody on the border but us. The military has never been on the border. And people don't want to believe this, but it's a fact. The only protection on the border right now are the United Constitutional Patriots. And the men that are down there are very brave men, because there's few and far between right now. And we have a training period getting ready to start here. As soon as this weather straightens up here, we've been in snowstorms. At our training grounds here, we're hoping for getting more people than what's here to help to train and be able to do what has to be done and take care of our country and our state. Stop them at the border from coming across, because they're bringing diseases that have never even been heard of, that they don't have any kind of vaccines or anything to treat them even. I haven't seen it with myself, but I did see pictures of they have a bacteria skin-eating disease, where it showed one guy, and his skin was eaten away almost all the way to his ribs, from under his armpit to his hip. Another one, all the way up the calf of his leg. These are what is coming across, just some of them. We have Ebola coming across, but nobody's hearing about it. The main news isn't covering any of this. And that's why we need volunteers. We need help. Your weapon, you have open carry in this state. Nobody questions anybody walking down the street with a weapon here. That's one thing about this state that I love, is open carry, and no one's going to challenge you. All we ask is that you contact us if you want to be boots on the ground. We will do all we can. Once you're on the border, we make sure you have food. Make sure you have a way to cook your food. We make sure that whatever is needed, we try our best to provide for you. And that's all comes through the donations that come through. So I'm asking you, all of you, to please, help us with this if you can, if you're capable of it. For those patriots that are sitting listening to this show, saying, "Well, I'm staying here, but I don't want to, I don't want to go down there because I have to sleep in a tent." Well, if that's the kind of a patriot you are, I guess we really don't need you, because we want men that are willing to stand up and be men who took an oath in the military or are willing to take the oath of the United Constitutional Patriots. If you cannot honor your oath you took when you were in the military, then there's something wrong. There's something really wrong. That's why we are asking for help on the border. We have been asking. Everybody always gives excuses. I bet there was 40 different patriot groups across the United States when all of this started, said, you ever need us, man, we got your six. We'll be right there. But then we have people that are trying to sabotage us, like Robert Crooks. He stopped a group from coming because he said that we were frauds. He said that he asked for money and never got it. Well, one, he wasn't part of our group, but we did send him $50 the first time. The second time that he asked for help, we sent him $80 because he said that his battery had gone out of his car. So we sent him $80. But at that time, the PayPal somehow screwed up and sent him $160. Sent him two different $80 ones. And we know that he has it because we have the paperwork showing it. And I will show this to anybody. This is open. Our books are open where every dime goes. It shows that this man is lying on us. We have other groups that are doing the same thing. James Jacobiak, he's one of them. Mike, who used to be a part of our group, but as soon as we told him we had to vet him and we found out that he was into drugs and everything else, then all of a sudden he turned on us and he started trying to put out the bad word. I've had groups call and say, well, all the people in the United Constitutional Patriots are wife beaters and they are homosexuals. Well, that really comes bright from somebody who's supposed to be a patriot. Because as far as I know, we don't have any homosexuals, which I don't have nothing against them. They've got their own life to live. But wife beaters, I don't believe so. Otherwise, I wouldn't work law enforcement. And you heard it yourself. Shane knows me. I've worked law enforcement. I've worked with him, and I still work law enforcement. And yes, we do. We work with the Oval Office. We give them constant information. We keep them up on the border because they weren't getting true information. We have information. We were supposed to have Troy on tonight, but because Shane said to come on, we're going to bring Shane on next week. But we have boots on the ground in Mexico that know exactly what's going on, and they are giving information to us. And we've got men in Mexico that are Mexican Americans, but they have a dual citizenship. They have family in Mexico, so they're down there fighting right now, fighting everybody from the cartel to you name it, and they all need help. This is what we're running for. The only thing necessary for to triumph evil is for good men to do nothing. What do you mean by that? Exactly what it says. Okay, but that was just handed to me on one of our message boards. But one of the things I want you to know, folks, is we're down there to protect the constitutional rights of you guys and us. We're down there to protect your families, because if we don't stop them at the border and they come through in a large defense force like theirs say they're coming through, then we're going to be dead. And you guys are going to be fighting to save your children and everything in your own yard, in your own house. And this is what we're up against, and this is not exaggeration. If you think it is, look at some of the stuff that's on the internet and some of the news media. Do your work. Google it. Check it out. You'll find out. There's no doubt, period, at all, that what I'm telling you is true. We want to protect you and your constitutional rights. You know, this time of the year, right now, they're having, down in Alabama, they're having a lot of flooding, and in the South, they're having a lot of flooding, having a lot of stuff. Normally, we're not on the border. We are getting aid to these people down there that are in trouble. That's what we do. We're a humanitarian group. But at the same time also, we are a constitutional group that stands for the rights of every American. And if we can't stand for your rights, to protect your rights, there's something wrong, because that's what we believe in. That's what we do. And we're not paid to do this. Nobody is on a payroll. Everything is volunteer. So if you want to help us, again, I'm going to say contact me at 505-334-2492. If you want to make a donation, make it to the United Constitutional Patriots PayPal account on Facebook. Google it. It's easy to find. And if you can't, we need your prayers. You can send, if you want to send gas cards, some Walmart cards and stuff where we can get things for men. You can send it, sleeping bags, whatever you would use if you were camping. Send it to the United Constitutional Patriots, care of John Horton or Mark Cheney, at Post Office Box 1334, Flora Vista, New Mexico 87415. And with that, preacher, you got some cues and stuff, right? Preacher, where'd you go?
Oh, I'm here. I didn't even call on it.
Yes. Do you want to do your cues?
Okay, yes, we will do the cues. And we've had a few come in the last couple of days. Am I still being heard?
Loud and clear.
All right. Now, folks, the reason I do that is because I have to put my microphone on voice activated, and then I come over to the cue page itself to read from there, and I want to make sure I'm still being heard. Yeah. Here lately, Q's been real busy, and every time we do a show, of course, we do our show every other night during the week. So I've been lately been coming in here with about 2 nights worth of cues. All right. So, but we're going to do the ones we got in today. There's a few of them. All right, we start with Q2856, and you can go to qmap.pub. That's qmap.pub. Look it up on your search engine. You can go there and read these, all of them for yourself and study them all out. Okay, so we start with Q2856 and pay close attention to some of these because they're very important, very interesting, and some big information in some of them. All right, so Q says, soft push of new narrative. Example, and he's got 3 Twitter statuses. What they're doing is they're pushing the narrative or the idea that with Mueller's investigation ending, he didn't dig deep enough, so more digging is going to have to be done. They're trying to maintain that narrative so they can try to stop the president from going ahead and lowering the boom on him. They wanted, when Mueller was doing his thing, they could always say, if the president tried to do anything, they could always say, well, he's just doing this to try to block Mueller or to try to interfere with Mueller. When Mueller is done, they can't do that anymore, so they're trying to invent something else so they can maintain that narrative. Okay, so it says, what happened to the Mueller hype? What happened to the Mueller will take down POTUS threats at John Brennan? Was Mueller the insurance policy, aka blockade, designed to limit, restrict POTUS ability to enforce the law? Traitors in the kill box. New talking points being pushed, backing away from Mueller as the savior regarding excuse A, excuse B, excuse C. Why are new investigations by Adam Schiff being started if, as he stated for almost 2 years, evidence exists that ties POTUS to Russia? If they had evidence, do you think it would have been leaked? If they had evidence, would they be backing away, playing down the Mueller report about to be released? First, they pushed for a special counsel. Now they claim special counsel didn't look deep enough. If the special counsel report is classified, how do they know where, who, when, why, and how deep each case? Question mark. If the special counsel report is classified, how do they know the conclusions of the report? Are the new investigations designed to be an insurance extension, designed to prevent POTUS from cleaning house, attack on political opponents who are actively conducting leading investigations into the president for XYZ charges beyond Mueller, and for XYZ reasons, zero evidence to support. Obstruction trap, SDNY, opening private investigation for sole purpose of finding a crime, evidence to support, evidence presented. Does SDNY report to Attorney General Barr? Watch the news. Maxine Waters, opening new investigations into finances of POTUS and or his family. Why did the Democrats state things will calm down if we retake the House prior to the midterm elections? Was their plan to retake the House in order to chair each respective committee in order to start new erroneous investigations in an attempt to retain the blockade, retain the insurance policy, retain the optical illusion that a crime was committed, retain the narrative, retain Democrat base outrage, retain Democrat base obstruction, retain Democrat base support to block POTUS agenda? If you know, now listen to these questions, folks, because these are important, because he's cluing us into what's coming here. If you know your opponent's move, this is our side, folks. If you know your opponent's move, what advantages does that present? If you have the truth on your side, what advantages does that present? If you have full control of the U.S. military, think about that one, folks. What advantages does that present? If you have complete authority to declassify, what advantages does that present? If you have the support of the American people, patriots, that's you and me, folks, what advantages does that present? Do not trust the fake news media. You are the majority. Mueller, D-Class, Office of Inspector General, Truth, Justice, The Great Awakening. You are the news now. Q. Okay? That was our longest one. The rest of them were a bit shorter, folks. Q2857. He says, and he's thanking the various people that have been serving in this project to take down the deep state. He says, we thank you for your service, B.O. Now, that's not Barack Obama. That's board owner. That's the owner of the Patriots Fight Board, where Q posts. We thank you for your service, volunteers. We thank you for your service, bakers. We thank you for your service, Anons. God bless each and every one of you, patriots one and all. Pepe, that's Pepe the Frog, the green frog, is proud and has never been more popular. Q. Okay, Q2858. Regarding conservative attack on UC Berkeley campus. Now, that's been a while ago. And I can't think of the guy's name that they're talking about, but we all know who he is. Attacker equal member of local Antifa chapter, joined April 2018. Facial scans do not hit directly. 2 jumps downstream required. Q. Okay. Q number 2859. It starts with a Twitter status, which says QAnon in Delhi, India, me wearing the Q shirt in the literature festival. Okay, so it's a guy in India wearing a Q shirt. So it's getting all over the world, folks. Okay, and he says our reach is a direct threat to their control. Okay, would the largest news CEOs in the world attack us daily if we weren't a threat to their narrative control? You attack those who threaten you the most. And that's why, as John pointed out, that's why we come under attack quite a bit as well. Okay, Q. All right, 2860. It starts with a Twitter status from the president, a tweet from the president from April the 15th of 2018. Comey throws Attorney General Lynch under the bus. Why can't we all find out what happened on the tarmac in the back of the plane with Wild Bill and Lynch? Was she promised a Supreme Court seat or Attorney General in order to lay off Hillary? No golf and grandkids talk. Give us all a break. Okay, see, they already knew, folks. Okay, and then Q says, the deal of a lifetime, tarmac meeting not planned according to Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton. Security reports indicate United States Secret Service security detail for Bill Clinton and FBI security detail for Loretta Lynch planned for the meeting. Special counsel Loretta Lynch, deal presented by Bill Clinton. What actions did James Comey take days after? Less than a week after the tarmac meeting, James Comey announced the FBI would not recommend indictment against Hillary. Returning to the news, Q, okay? Q 2861, he repeats that Q, and then Q adds this. He says, just another coincidence we dropped. Loretta Lynch was offered a Supreme Court seat on February the 6th and backed up by POTUS on April the 15th. Okay? Enjoy the show. Now, that the POTUS that backed it up was, of course, Obama. Enjoy the show, Q. So evidently the show is fixing to start, okay? Q 2862 is several images. One is like a movie billboard that says tarmac, based on a true story. And, of course, it's rated R. Okay, and then there's a couple of cartoons there with Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch talking. Okay, and then another photograph of Loretta Lynch there at the airport. Okay, and Q says there are two Twitter statuses, and Q says dead on, Q. Okay, Q 2863. We have another Twitter tweet from the president, and this one was this morning. And he reposted a tweet from Kimberly Strassel, I guess it's a news person or something, and she said, but I guess a conservative one, because she says conspiracy theorist Adam Schiff is looking for something new, anticipating a Mueller letdown, writes at Kim Strassel, WSJ.com. Okay. All right. And Q says, or Anon says, why hasn't this been noted yet? Trump just tweeted the same link Q stated and started with in post 2856 regarding a new narrative, Q proof. And Q says, got popcorn? Q. All right. Q 2864 says, okay, Q, it starts off with Q's that last statement, got popcorn, and then Q says, there are sure a lot of Q comments on that tweet POTUS just referred to. Happy Friday, Q. Okay, Q 2865. is an image, says the wall the media is building in America, and it shows a wall being constructed, but it's not along the border. This is a meme about the wall that the news media is constructing, okay? Then he says, then Q says, memes, memes, and more memes. The truth will always win. Q. Okay. 2866. Clue plus. Okay, it says Q plus is POTUS aboard Air Force One. And Q says this. Now think about this one. He says impossible to defend. Let's see, what was it? What's on this thing? Okay, yeah, there is the plus on a mobile phone when dialing. Trolling the fake news media is fun. At some point, the Q will be asked. Q, okay. All right. Okay. Well, he says Q says impossible. Okay, it says impossible to defend. Vietnam trip coming. Enjoy the show. So that kind of Q. So that kind of indicates that the big show begins when the president takes the trip to Vietnam. And Q has in the past posted that the president would be out of the country when the big show begins. Q2867 is a YouTube video, probably the one that said this video will get Donald Trump elected. And he says, Q asks, he says, are we having fun yet? The best is yet to come. Q. All right, Q2868. We're getting there, folks. Just a few more. We're getting there. Some of these are pretty good stuff, okay? Q2868. Okay. We have a Twitter status. Uncovered video. Bernie Sanders in 1985 praising the communist Castro regime in Cuba and admitting on camera that he traveled to Nicaragua to advise the Ortega regime on how to successfully fight the United States. Now, I want to read that again, folks. Listen to that carefully. Bernie Sanders, they've uncovered a video. It's all over the place now. You can find it on Twitter, wherever. Bernie Sanders in 1985 praising the communist Castro regime in Cuba and admitting on camera that he traveled to Nicaragua to advise the Ortega regime on how to successfully fight the United States. I think they call that treason, folks. Q says, it's amazing what a person finds when they simply search praising Castro. Will the next wave of Democrat 2020 candidates begin to push the everything will be free, reparations for all black Americans, more government control will save us, etc., 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 broken record lines in order to buy or con voters? More talk, more claims, no facts, no plan, no details. What happened regarding Bernie's wife's fraud case? And it's got several, couple of links to a couple of stories, or a link to a story there, article. Federal prosecutors drop investigation of wife of Bernie Sanders, advisor says. Okay, it pays to play. The more you know, Q. Okay, now 2869, an anon post and says, you can bet Q knew Kraft was on surveillance video just when Kraft got all liberal in the fake news. KEKQ. Q says Super Bowl winners. Apparently, the owner of the New England Patriots has now been indicted for sex-related crimes, if you will. Procurement, okay? All right, Super Bowl winners, puppy, sex underscore, urban dick, question mark, Q, okay? All right, Q2870 shows a photograph of the Patriots owner, okay, with the Super Bowl trophy. Again, he was just indicted on crimes. Q2871, anonymous asks, Q, DeGenova says sedition, not treason. Is that definition or that delineation accurate on those who were involved to frame Trump and the American people? Please advise. Q says sedition, treason, crimes against humanity. Q. Okay. And then Q2872 is an image that says Coleman told us that he kept regularly taking notes in a journal. Coleman's notes from October 4th contains the following entry: Anthony Weiner, unrelated, Weiner texting 15-year-old, sexually explicit, so on and so forth. Okay, and then Q says, and the anonymous says, and children. And Q says Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crimes against children. Q. Q2873 is a photograph of a sizable group of black conservatives that were just invited to the White House. And by the way, one of the guys that wasn't able to get there, be there, was a comedian named Terrence Williams, who posts all over Twitter, YouTube, and what have you. Strong Trump supporter. And he just posted and talked about that that guy that just staged an attack on himself and his connection to Kamala Harris. And then he winds up his Lyft driver he's driving into D.C. He nearly drives off of a bridge. And Terrence Williams is in the hospital now, having suffered a break in his neck and a break in his back. He's going to be laid up for a while, but he's alive. And Anon did a search and found out that Lyft, Valerie Jarrett sits on the board of directors. Obama's girlfriend, Valerie Jarrett, sits on the board of directors of Lyft. Connections? Possibly. And Q says here, fake news only divides. Divided, you are weak. Together, you are strong. United, not divided. Where we go one, we go all. Q. Okay, Q2874, another Twitter status. And it says, Q asks, how do you feel your administration if majority of those in politics are corrupt? And in capital letters, he says, draining the swamp. Q. Okay. Let's see. Q2875 starts off with a Washington Examiner Twitter post, and it says, breaking, Trump administration moves to cut off some funding from some Planned Parenthood funding. He cut off about $60 billion, folks, just today. And then Q says, one step closer. Q. Okay, 2876. Okay. Okay, now this is a biggie, because this was something that Hillary Clinton or somebody posting, I believe it's somebody posting as Hillary Clinton, said, Politico reports today a wide-ranging disinformation campaign aimed at Democratic 2020 candidates is already underway on social media, with signs that foreign state actors are driving at least some of the activity. It's another attack on Q, but not just on Q, but on Patriots posting on Twitter, because she also posted a link in that status having to do with a long list of Twitter channels that are fixing to be under attack because they're considered dangerous to the left's narrative. Okay, it says, Q says, for those who think the war is fake, or we are not considered a major threat, this is a direct attack by Hillary Clinton on Q and pro-POTUS patriots. The article referenced has an embedded link that literally targets pro-POTUS Q Twitter accounts that have been identified by Clinton and Democrats as serious threats to their ability to shift the narrative. Twitter has already begun to remove targeted accounts, stages under false pretenses. The war is real. The threat is real. Clinton panic, Clinton fear, and in capital letters, ladies and gentlemen, Judgment Day coming. Q. Okay. 2877, he repeats that Q and then says, disregard all spelling errors, on the move, Q. Okay, Q 2878, he repeats that one again and then says, gives a link to the embedded article so you can click on that and look at that. You can actually see a list of the accounts that are being targeted. Thankfully, mine's not on it, but you can see the list of accounts there that are targeted. It says link embedded in article, and then it's got crooked Hillary, and Hillary is in a triple kill box. Now, when you target something that closely, well, those in the military know what that triple kill box means, okay? Or have been in the military, know what it means. 2879, this is the last one for tonight, folks. An anonymous posted, and they posted a Twitter status that says, breaking internet infrastructure under attack. The agency that oversees online address book warns. This is AFP breaking news. Breaking the internet infrastructure is under attack. The agency that oversees the online address book warns. Evil trying to prevent truth from spreading. And Q then posted another thing, www.ican.org news announcement. And he says, Q says, tools of prevention online. So, Q is saying that they do have the tools, and he said here a while back that our internet infrastructure was being protected, as was our electrical grid. Electrical grid being protected by a black eye, so I assume they've got it under control. And folks, those are all the cues for tonight. Some very important messages there, but those are the cues for this evening. And back to you, Commander.
Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate it, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, our staff works from the time they get up, usually till late at night, sometimes 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting the news to you, getting the cues to you, getting information to you, setting up our guest speakers, and they work their tail ends off. And I'm very proud of the work that they do. They do it so we can get you true news. They vet the news so everybody knows, what is truly and honestly going on. We do not give fake news. We don't paint pictures to make anything pretty. We just tell you the way it is. And that's why we have the following, I think, that we have, is because they know when they come to our show that they're not going to get a bunch of BS like fake news gives you. So I want to thank my staff on the air for everything they do, and also the team, because we are a team more than a staff. We don't have problems within our structures. Everybody knows their job, and I don't have to tell them how to do it. I'm very proud of them, and I want to thank them, I want to thank them on the air for what they do. I want to thank our listeners also. But before I do the closing tonight, I want to say something, folks. Our flag's been flying It's been stepped on. It's been shot. Men have died to keep it flying. Men have lost limbs. Veterans have gone out of their way to make sure that our country keeps that flag up in the air. You know, the most beautiful sight is when a picture I seen, it had a picture of the flag on a pole in the mountains, with a mountain stream running below it. And there was 3 bald eagles, one on the top, sitting on the top of the flagpole, and there was 2 of them that was flying off, one to the right and one to the left. And I think it was one of the most beautiful pictures because it stands for the freedom of America. It stands for what America represents. It stands for your rights and the people who have died and been wounded. And that means a lot to me to see that flag keep flying. And the things we're up against right now, it's not iffy as far as I'm concerned, because I know that the true patriots and Americans will stand up and fight for the rights of each and every American, even those of you that are in the cities. Arm yourselves with weapons. Make sure you have protection. Teach each and everybody in the family how to use a weapon, the safety of the weapon, what not to do and what to do. You know, I was raised on a ranch and in the logging industry, not the music industry. I got involved in that in 1972. But prior to that, I was raised to where we lived with a weapon. We hunted, we fished. Went to high school, we had rifles and rifle racks in the back of the back window. We never had any shootings. We never had any disagreements. If there was a disagreement, there was a set of railroad tracks sitting there, and after school, we'd go across that railroad tracks, and we'd duke it out and finish it off and walk away and laugh about it a couple days later. It's not like the shootings they have now and what's going on. These false flags, as always happens, like Sheriff Ferrari and I were talking earlier, these false flags, these shootings, always takes place in gun-free zones. These cowards don't have the guts to go in an area where they are not a gun-free zone because they know they're going to get shot. They know that people are going to stand up for their rights. And that's a right that you have, your Second Amendment right to possess, use a weapon for your safety. If somebody breaks into your house and you shoot them, all you got to do is make sure they know that you're in fear of your life, and you won't be prosecuted in most states. Some of these liberal states, I can't say that, but I know New Mexico's that way, and I know Texas is that way, and I know that Tennessee's that way. Those are 2 states I spend more time than any of them. But let me tell you something, folks. A lot of people, they say, well, guns do this and guns do that. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Guns can't pull their own trigger. This is what you got to think about. You know, I know that almost everybody I know, they have weapons in their homes. And they're locked and loaded all the time. An empty weapon will get you killed. And you know what? The area we live in is a very low crime rate because of it. So when you really sit back and think about it, where is the danger of a weapon? It's not the weapon, it's who has the weapon in their hands. They do away with your Second Amendment rights, then the only people that's going to have weapons are the people that are going to come after you, the criminals. And how are you supposed to protect yourself? This is why they're trying to take the gun rights away from the American people. You know, I don't remember any incidents of any kind growing up where a child or a kid went into a high school or a junior high or a grade school or anything else and shot somebody up. If you know of anybody, anytime, of course, I was raised back in the 50s and 60s. And a lot, you know, the world, I wish the world was now the way it was then. Yeah, I can. Okay, triple kill box means high priority target. That target is immediate kill. is an immediate kill. It's next. Okay. Chuck just posted that, so I hope I covered it okay for you, Chuck. So here's what I'm recommending. If you are an American, make sure that you are armed. Make sure that any weapons you have are up and away from children. But teach children the dangers of the weapons. Teach them the safety of a weapon, and let them know. You keep your hands off of it. I seen on the news the other day where a 12-year-old kid shot and killed 4 people that were breaking into their home. He was home alone. His dad had taught him how to use a weapon, and evidently did a pretty good job because they took the body bags away and the kid wasn't charged, and these people were armed. What they were doing still probably isn't known. It didn't say on the news deal. Well, my hat's off to the parents that taught that child how to use a weapon, because no telling what would have happened to him. And this is what people got to wake up to, is the fact: guns do not kill people. People kill people. I'm going to repeat it. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. It's the ones that's holding that weapon, not the gun going off. The gun doesn't point itself. The gun doesn't load itself. The people do that, the person who has it. And that's something that you got to remember. But folks, tonight, again, for those of you that missed the show, the first part, we had our county sheriff came on and was explaining what's going on with gun rights and stuff here and what they're doing and why they cannot be back to people on the border because of our laws. So if you go back and re-listen to the first part of the show, if you missed it, I think it'll open your eyes a whole lot. Again, I wanted to thank Sheriff Ferrari for being on here, San Juan County Sheriff. As constitutionalist, he's for the American people. He's for not just the people in the state of New Mexico, but he's for the constitutional rights of everybody. And we have 15 counties now that have jumped on board. We made this sanctuary counties for the Second Amendment. So this is what's going on. I want to thank the law enforcement out there, all of them that are listening tonight, my friends. And we need, for CJ, we need to say a very special prayer for her because she has been ill. Chuck, you got an open mic, Chuck.
I know.
We need to do we need to say a special prayer for her tonight. She is sick. TJ and her husband Warren, great people. They just sent us some supplies for the men. And we had another party that's also sending supplies for the men, and they actually sent some supplies for our troops down in Mexico. So we will see to it that Troy gets those supplies. Now with some other things, the sheriffs out there, the first responders, our military, our patriots, all of them that are on the border, not just ours, but all of them on the border. And all of our police officers are there. They're there to help you. They're not there to hurt you. They have a job to do. And when you see them, give them shake their hand, thank what they do, say a prayer with them. Let them know they're appreciated. And let them know that you're in their corner and that you're there for them no matter what, because they're there for you, not because they have to be. They took that oath and they took that job because they want to help. And sure, there's some officers out there that have different ideas of what a police officer should do. And I'm not talking about them, but I'm talking about the true police officers are out there to protect the public and to protect you and help you if you're in trouble. So with that, I'm going to ask Chuck to say a prayer for CJ and also Warren, and also do our closing prayer for us. I'd appreciate it, my friend.
All right, sir. Lord Jesus, we come before you right now to thank you, Lord, for this another opportunity that we've had to come here tonight and do this great work that we do. Some of us are not totally well. Some of us are experiencing pain. But we've all still come to do this work that you've given us to do because we realize and know how important it is to our country. And it's important to us as well as patriots. We thank you, Lord, for assembling this team that we have here that are willing to work this hard to do this that you've called us to do. We thank you for all of our listeners who come here each and every time we do a show to listen to us and to do whatever they can to help us to accomplish what we need to accomplish at the border and otherwise. We're thankful for them. We pray for the two that Commander mentioned as needing our prayers. We know you know their needs, what they're in need of, and we ask the Lord to reach down and touch them and fulfill their needs and take care of them. We also offer a prayer on behalf of our teammate here, She-Wolf. Something happened in the middle of the night, and she took a fall, and she feels like she's probably broken a bone in the heel of one of her feet, and she's having a great deal of difficulty getting around, Lord. We know that you are the great healer. You're the great physician. And we ask you, Lord, to put your healing hand on that foot. We ask you to take care of that foot by whatever means you choose necessary. It may well be that it's your choice that she go to see a doctor and have that thing set, or you may decide to heal it yourself. But by whatever means you choose, we ask you, Lord, to give her healing in her body, give her strength in her body, give her peace in her mind, heart, and spirit. We also pray for another team member, Doc Robinson, as she has had a bit of a difficult time in her life, waiting on big things to happen that are important to all of us. And she's going through a bit of a trial and a bit of a, we ask you to strengthen her. We ask you to touch her, give her strength, give her healing in her body, give her strength in her body, give her peace in her mind, her heart, and spirit. And we also ask you to let her feel your presence there with her, your spirit there with her, to know that you also have your hand on her and Mike's grandson, as you're taking care of that situation as well. We pray for our president, and we thank you for him and all the great work that he's doing and is about to do, because we know that big and great things are about to happen, and we know that it's not just his agenda, it's your agenda that he's working to. And because it is your agenda, we know that all things will come to pass. And we ask you, Lord, to be with our president and his family and all those working together with him to the betterment of our country and to the defeat of the deep state. We ask you, Lord, to continue to let your blood of protection be upon them and upon us. Okay, let your angels be encamped around about them, stand and watch over them, and continue to thwart the plans, the schemes, and the works of the wicked one against them and against us, and continue to remove the wicked and the corrupt from our government, that your agenda might continue to go through. We ask you to continue with us now throughout this night and into the coming days. Continue to guide us, guard us, and direct us, draw us ever closer to one another, and ever closer to thee. For we do ask it all in the most powerful name in the universe, the wonderful and holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen and amen.
Amen. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. And I'm going to ask each and every one of you right now to please hit that share button. Share this, get the word out. If any of those of you that can, please donate. We're not asking much, even if it's just $1, but please donate. Help us take care of the men that are on the border. Help us to take care of the men also that are training here that are going to be going to the border, because they're going to need the financial help as well. I wish I was rich. All I get is my VA pension. But I do what I can and try everything I can to make sure that these men are taken care of. They're down there willing to give their life to keep you free, to keep these people out of New Mexico. So again, if you want to be boots on the ground, call me at 505-334-2492. I want you to remember the police officers, the first responders, the military that are overseas as well as over here on our borders, the men that are on the borders all the way across. Keep them in your prayers. When you see a veteran, thank him for what he did. Also, when you see a police officer, thank them. A firefighter. These are the real heroes in America. I sit and I listen and I look and I watch and I see here, especially here in New Mexico, and it happens to me all the time. I'll be wearing my Vietnam veterans hat. I'll walk into a place and somebody will walk up 9 out of 10 times, shake my hand and say, thank you for your service. I had a 5-year-old kid do that the other day, and I was shocked, but I was impressed. And then his mother thanked us also. A thank you goes a long way when you show appreciation for what somebody does. Vietnam vets were ignored, they were kicked in the teeth, and they were spit on when we came home from Vietnam. And these are the men, these are the real heroes of America, the people that served overseas, the people that was willing to die to keep our flag flying. If you have children and they see something that's not right and they tell you about it, or if you see somebody hanging around a school that just something is wrong, please call 911. It's better off to be wrong about somebody and have it checked out than have your feelings that something's wrong and right and something happens. So think about that too, folks. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And we never know really who our guests are going to be up till the last minute. So if you want to be notified, hit that bell up there that you're listening to, and it'll notify you when we come on the air. Might be a type of show that you may not want to listen to that night. But at least let us notify you when we're there, because we try to get you the true news and we vet it. We keep you up on what's going on. We give you news that we do get directly from the Oval Office sometimes. And we have people out of Washington that are listening to us, including our president. And he's acknowledged it, as I'm very proud of. We're there for you. We're there so you know what's going on, so you know what you can do. So with that, I want to say God bless you. God bless America. God bless our president. Keep him in your prayers. And all of you are in our prayers too. Good night, and God bless you. God bless America. Have a great evening.
Thank you for joining the United Constitutional Patriots Radio show tonight. Our next show will be on Monday at 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Pacific. And we want to say God bless all you Patriots and have a great night.